Well, welcome back to American Flyer Repairs. This is episode number 2, part 2, or continuation of the first episode of the 21168 Casey Jones, the American Flyer Premier model. In the previous episode, I showed you how to remove the shelf, which is a sort of a task, not an easy thing to do, but there was a way to do it, and I was shown to you. And also show you how to repair the broken wire, which was identified at the time. So today, we're going to continue with the same American Flyer Casey Jones 21168, and I'm going to show you what I've done with it and the steps to make it more of an interesting train. Also, I'm going to compare the lower model, the 21166 and 21165, and the L2000 series. Those are the low grade models, which doesn't have much amenities to it. Of course, the 21168 is the premier one, and the Casey Jones was actually the last of the line American Flyer made before they actually went out of business. So I'm going to show you those few pointers and the tools that's needed to make the upgrade and the materials. So stay tuned. I'm going to bring you over to a bench to show you the difference between those two models. Here are the two basic models. The one on the top, this one, is the basic model, the 21165, which is the same as the 21166, and it's also the same as the L2000 series. This particular model has no really great amenities. It does run, has a motor, and that's all it does. It runs. It runs actually quite well. It's a very light locomotive and doesn't have much pulling strength in the sense that because of the engine is so light. The second one, the 21168, is the one that we were working on in the previous video, and this is the premier of the Casey Jones. And I think I mentioned the history of the Casey Jones. Casey Jones was actually somewhat of a last of the train heroes, and he was killed in an accident when he was traveling on the rail, and another locomotive which should not have been on that particular rail, well, there was a head-on collision. That was the end of Mr. Casey Jones. So the 21168, the amenities, again, it has a better linkage than the earlier model. It has a great smoking unit. It has a chuff, which is attached to the locomotive smoke unit, and has an operating headlight. The other thing is, on either one of these models, I guess AC Gilbert used whatever couplers they had on hand. These two came with the operating coupler, and this is the better of the couplers. They also had the cheaper one, more flimsy, is the Pike Master ones. Those are kind of, well, they don't last very long. They break. This one came with a Pike Master, and what I did was, it did break, and what I did was I converted it into a operating coupler. I took one of the reproductions and actually epoxy it on together with JB Weld, and it held up very well. And of course, this had a lot better pulling power than the lighter model there. Of course, you could always add some weight to the tender or to the bottom of the locomotive to give it the extra weight. But this one really didn't quite need it. And the other thing is, both models, I believe, yes, they came with Pomo tires, so which is great, traction tires. So there you have it. It's all one piece. There's no jack panels in between. These are all direct wiring on both models. So let me show you what I'm going to be doing and what I actually have done with the 21168 from the previous video. Okay, this is the 21168 from the previous episode. I just want to also say this. What we're going to do here today, you could do it with the 21168, or you could do it with the other models, the L2000 or the 21166, 2166, 21166. 2166 is the Erie. The 21166 is the Burlington model road name, and the 21165 is the Erie road name. And of course, the 21168 is the Southern Railway. So again, what we're going to do today in terms of upgrading this particular Casey Jones, you could do with any of the models. And it's a very economical way of doing it. You don't have to buy all the fancy electronics. I know there are parts out there you could just attach and all that kind of stuff, but in the interest of having a better economical way of doing this yourself, this actually will come out very nice. So what do we have in terms of materials to upgrade? Well, we're going to do the lights, and we're also going to do the handrails. You could buy this all pre-made and all that, but it's very expensive. And for those who are on a budget, and with today's economy the way it is, it's probably better if you could do it yourself. It'd be more fun too. So anyways, what we have here are the pre-wire LED lights. These are 3mm. I'm going to write this for you so you can actually see this. These are 3mm pre-wire LEDs, and I'm going to use this, and I'm going to show you where I'm going to be using this. I'm going to be using this on the pilot of the engine. These also come in red, and you could use these as marker lights in the rear of the tender, and of course that's the 3mm. This white light, they come in clear or translucent. I happen to have the translucent one. It's quite bright, and these are 5mm. And these are all metric sizes. And if you saw my other video in terms of putting LED lights into the caboose in a very simple and economical way, what I did was I used some drill bits. Okay, I started out with the one on the caboose. Actually, the plastic was a lot more delicate, so I had to pre-drill some small holes, a small hole, and then a larger hole. And it's good to do with any of the plastics too, so you don't have any splintering of the plastic or splitting of the plastic shells. So I start out with the small one, which is the 564, make the hole, and then the next one I will use the 1/8. Similarly, for the 5mm light, which is going to be the backlight on the tender, you can start with a smaller gauge drill, and then this one happens to be the 3/16 size. So and just to give you the written down information, I also made some handrails for the Casey Jones. Casey Jones does not have any handrails, metal handrails, and I actually install some handrails. You could bend these to shape using a small plier. It's not hard to do. You just find the right, do the measurements. For example, you just got to measure out and give it some extra slack. Maybe an extra 1/4 inch on the top and a 1/4 inch on the bottom, and then just carefully bend it to shape with a small pliers. And the handrail, the size of this handrail, it's a 0.47, and this is the proper S gauge size for the American Flyer. As you can see, this is the repair that I made on the previous video, and I actually extended the wire so that it reaches the tender. So that was on the last episode. In the interest of time, I pre-made these so that you could see what I've done. I have 2 ditch lights here, And that's the green LED lights that you saw just a minute ago. Drill the hole here, drill a hole here, and just with a touch of glue, just insert give you a light here. So basically I just inserted the LED lights in. Well, there's two ways to provide some power to the LEDs. I thought about just soldering these wires directly to the headlight, and that would have been a very short run, and it would have been great. It would be great if nothing else happens to the locomotive, but if you should have to take this apart again, you're going to have a problem with the LED lights and the headlights. Since this, if you did the direct soldering to the headlight, that means you might have to cut these LED lights in order to take the whole chassis out. This is in the future in case you need to do some repairs or something is going on. So that's not a good thing. You don't want to cut these. So what I've done was maybe a little bit of extra wiring, but what I did was I extended the wires all the way through so the source of power would be in the tender. So this way you could remove the chassis without disturbing the LED lights. And that's the reason why I did it this way. It's a lot more wiring, but in the interest of servicing the chassis in the future without breaking any LED lights, and that's what I did. So I just bunch it all together so that it stays, that doesn't look like spaghetti in the show. So, and also it doesn't interfere with the operation of the actual moving parts in the motor and the smoke unit and the gears. I also want to mention that there is the smoke tube that goes in here. It's a brass smoke tube. There's a few things that I actually changed a little bit. I kept this incandescent light bulb for a reason. I added an LED white bulb through the back of this. It's a one LED light bulb, LED light, which is basically this thing here, to give it a brighter light. So your question is, if I added the white LED light to the headlight, then why do I need this bulb? Well, this will serve a different purpose now. It will not serve the purpose of lighting up the headlight. The white LED light that I inserted through here, which is bundled with the rest of the wires here, that will be that purpose. This is to light up the smokestack. Well, the smokestack, but it doesn't light up. Well, yes, the original Gilbert smokestack does not light up. But taking an idea from the previous locomotives, that the Hudsons and the 303 or the Northern, they have red glowing smokestacks. So what I've done was, well, the regular red glow smokestacks will not be too short for this. So what I did was I extended the smokestack. So now I have a long smokestack and it will fit. And the purpose of this light bulb is to serve the red smokestack, make it glow. And it works very nicely. So at the end, I will show you the finished product, and I think you will like it quite well. We're in the process of reinserting the motor and the chassis back into the shell. Okay, just to review, there are 3 tabs that has to go back into this the slots. There's one here. The second one is here, and the third one is here, and the same thing on the other side. So it's a total of 6 slots. But you have to be very careful as you're spreading the shell. You don't want to overdo it because you don't want to break it. It is plastic. Just an FYI. Okay, the chassis is back in. Let's just test the lights, make sure it still works. And yes, it does work. and the chassis is back inside the shell. Again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tabs. It seems like a lot of wires, but it all comes together. I bundle up the 2 sets of wires. It's going to go through this particular opening here in the tender. Oh, you see this? There we go. Right here, it's an opening. There's a second opening. I widened it so the wires could go through here. I also use my drill bit, my drill, to drill a hole in the back of the tender, and that's for the backlight. So hold on, and we're going to do that now. Just a little bit of glue, a touch of glue on the light, and it goes into the hole here. And that's it. Okay, looks like the project is coming together. The last thing I did was I solder a red wire here and a yellow wire here. This will be the main source of the power supply for all the lights and also for the engine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bundle up the positive and the negative with these wire caps. You know what? The screw caps. You know, just wire all the wires together. Negative to one side and positive to the other side. So once that's in there, I'm going to attach this to it in addition. So the main source of power again is from these 2 wires. Well, I bundle all the appropriate wires together, and let's see if it runs. We'll give it a quick test and see if it works. These are my alligator clips. It's attached to my transformer on the other side. You can't see my transformer, but these are the power source. So let's see if it works. And it works. And the backlight works too. All right, we're gonna pull the tender back together. Okay, everything's together. Let's see if it works. And the black. So it works. Okay, everything works. I have to say, it's a little bit of work, but it also tests your dexterity. It teaches you how to perfect your soldering, do the wiring, and it may be a bit of wiring, and it looks a little bit clumsy, but it's very economical, and you did it yourself. You didn't have to spend $50 to buy a circuit board. I think they probably make this, circuit boards for this now, and which is easy. You just plug it in and it works. It's fine. But the total cost of this is the cost of your locomotive, which you would have anyways, and the wires. The wires are cheap. The solder is cheap. The LED lights are only, for $10. You probably get like 50 of these LED lights. So it's relatively inexpensive, and you save yourself a lot of money. You have a great running locomotive, and your fellow train people will say, "Gee, how did you do that?" Well, it's not so bad. I mean, just some wires. The inside is probably a little bit clumsy, but that's, you're not looking at the inside. You look at the entire locomotive, and there you have it. If you have any questions, leave a comment. Well, that concludes this episode of the 21168 Casey Jones. And I think you're all going to have a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun doing this. I mean, running trains is interesting. It's fun. But the other half of the fun is actually putting things together and being a little innovative. Everything's encompassed to test your skills. There's the soldering, there's the wiring, there's the LED lights, there's the handrails. You could make your own handrails, which is not hard to do. Just that doesn't cost much either. So everything is relatively inexpensive. To make an expensive hobby affordable, this is very affordable. You don't have to buy anything else. Just get the locomotive, and you can apply all this to other locomotives if you like. This is not just for the Casey Jones. And some folks actually says, well, I may go into the business of making these LED lights for other folks. Well, if that's your forte, you could do that too. I mean, you have some extra money to buy as a source of funds for obtaining other locomotives or parts. So, there's a variety of things that you could do in this industry. I'll say this once again. In one of my other videos, I did mention that Market Watch, which is a service that watches globally of all the up and coming, big industries in the world. And in February, Market Watch mentioned the model train industry. They said, well, it looks like it's going to be a very big thing, and they're going to watch this industry from February until the year 2028, and let's see what they say at that point, and let's see where the train industry goes. But right now, it's not just a toy hobby. It is a toy hobby, but it's more than that. It's also actually big business. You have big companies making trains and everything else, and globally. There's in Germany they have their own trains. In England, a lot of the so-called American trains are made in China. By the way, this Casey Jones is made in the USA, so it's still good. It's still running very well. Let's see. Let's see what it brings us. So, anyways, if you like what you saw today, give me a like. If you have any comments, leave a comment. And if you really want to see more of me, doing stuff like this, subscribe to my channel, and I appreciate it. Well, thank you for watching, and have a great day. Keep them trains running.